For 365 days a year, for 15 years, I used meth on a daily basis. It destroyed my life, and along with that, the drug addiction came crime. I sold the drugs so I could make money to do the drugs. In and out of jail, getting busted for selling the drugs. And my last arrest was for manufacturing and distributing controlled substance, which was meth. And as I was in jail, I wasn't getting out. I was looking at some serious time in prison. I was in the jail cell, and this girl came into my cell, and she told me about a book that helped her. So I read a book. I read it for 5 hours straight through. And as I was reading it, something was happening on the inside of me. I was starting to feel again. I was starting to think that maybe there was a hope for my life. After 5 hours, I shut that book, I got on my knees, and I got radically saved. I couldn't come out of my cell for 23 hours a day. So it was just me and the Lord reading the Word. I started seeing my life in the eyes of God. My heart was breaking for the sins that I had done. I did not know how to deal with them. So I literally took out a pad of paper and I started writing down the things that I did. But I was so guilty. I was so hurt for the things that I had done. I sat down with my lawyer one day and I just looked at him and I said, I have to plead guilty. I am guilty of all the charges plus hundreds more. And he said, okay, cut and dry case, yes ma'am. So my day in court happened. I was sitting there in front of the judge. My attorney told me not to say anything about Jesus. Just as the DA goes to stand up to say she deserves prison, the judge stopped everything. She turned to me and she said, Cynthia, I want to see you succeed. She said, if you ever stand in front of me again, I am going to give you 5 years flat in prison. But if you come back in front of me in 1 year without any violations on your probation, then I'm just going to give you probation and I'm going to let you live your life on the outside. You could have heard a pin drop in that courtroom. The DA's mouth flew open and I am just shaking my head, yes ma'am. And inside, I was so excited because if Jesus Christ's name couldn't be mentioned in that courtroom, nobody was gonna talk. After the judge gave me a second opportunity, I had to learn how to live life again. I go to apply for a job, so I go and tell them how good I am with people and what God has done in my life, and I'm good with money because I was a drug dealer. And that's how I got my first job. They actually hired me. Through that job, I learned how to work and how to have ethics and integrity and character and those types of things. After years of integrating and trying to find out who I was as an adult woman now, I always had a seed in my heart to go back into the jails and go back into the prisons. But because of my record, I mean, it was almost impossible. Nobody would let me back in. Finally, after 10 years, an opportunity opened up for me, and there was actually a full-time paid position for a female chaplain in the county jail, just like the one I was saved at. So now what I get to do every day, and simply because of God's grace, I get to go back into that jail every day with the keys in my hand, and I get to share the grace of God, just like He shared it with me.